win. They enjoy helping local businesses succeed. This is a full-time job. If you are good enough to join our team, we will train you and support you. I train salespeople all over the world, and I'm ready to help you become a top multimedia specialist with the Miller Media Group. Previous sales experience is a plus, but not a requirement. But a long-term career is. Are you looking for us? Send your resume to sales@randyradio.com.
AM radio provides always-on news, sports, talk, traffic, and weather reports. And it's also a vital service that provides important emergency information when your community needs it most. Tell Congress you need AM radio to stay in your car. Because when cell phones and the internet are down, this free emergency service is critical. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress we need AM radio in cars.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
News time, 9 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Monday. Top of the morning from the newsroom of Regional Radio and DeWittDailyNews.com. I'm Seth Lawrence with this expanded local newscast. Brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters, and the morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube. Brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. The city of Clinton plans to build a new water tower in the next year, and plans are moving along a little quicker than anticipated. Clinton City Administrator Taylor Baxter indicates the city will be utilizing EPA loans to help pay for two projects, one at the city's water plant and the other for the new water tower site. Additionally, they plan to use just short of $1 million to pay for the water plant work.
So the ARPA funding we're utilizing right now, these two projects, the Lime system and the CO2 system, we are currently in the works of signing contracts and getting those things updated as we speak. So that's getting spent. I believe we had a 2025 deadline to spend that. Okay. So that's getting spent as we speak, getting worked on. And then as far as the water tower project, the Quincy Street, Maine, all of that. We are currently working on updating our prices and figuring out what to even go to the EPA for. Because if we don't know that, we can't just go in there, hey, we need $10 million without a plan. We're working on that with our engineers. And then based on their feedback that they've gotten from the EPA, potentially the water tower project could be July 2025 construction. So quicker than even we thought. Honestly, I thought this was going to be a 2026 project, but this seems to be moving a little bit quicker than we even imagined. So it's good news.
According to Baxter, there are a couple of different locations the city could turn to for the site of the new water tower. He explains they are currently working through where would be the best location for it.
Yeah, we've got a preliminary site, and we're kind of trying to figure out if that is going to be the site. There's a location, whether it be directly west, where there's some open land there. We also own the property where I believe it was Dr. Carley's office. I think he was on the corner there.
Dr. Allen.
Dr. Allen, yeah, sorry. There's a couple different sites, and we're trying to figure out which way would be the best way to go, so we don't really for sure 100%. That's one of the things we're kind of tweaking to get ready to submit for. Yeah. Is in order to shoot all that water up there, there's got to be, again, this is way above my head, and I don't know how. There's a lot of underground infrastructure that needs to be considered. Every single inch of pipe, it's going to be this amount of money, so we definitely got to be careful on where we're spending our money.
Last week on Regional Radio, Baxter indicated to us the architects of the project recommended separating the projects, which they felt would give them access to more loan forgiveness opportunities. He also indicates they need to keep in mind timing on the EPA side of the project so they can access those dollars, which is moving the project along at a good pace to this point. A couple of weeks ago on Regional Radio, we highlighted the increasing occurrences of stalking in domestic abuse situations. Andrea Coker is the executive director of Willow Tree Missions in Piatt County and explains stalking can have short and long-term impacts on its victims. She notes short-term behavior changes include isolating victims so friends and family do not get stalked, or changing jobs and routes to work they take every day.
Oftentimes people who are victims of stalking are just naturally feel isolated. Part of the reason that happens is because we see a pattern of behavior changes with victims, and all of them make sense on why they do it, is ultimately is to avoid being stalked. But what we see often is that people start to withdraw from social activities. That can be for a number of reasons. It can be self-esteem related, in general exhaustion from constantly dealing with the feeling of having to look over their shoulder. But a lot of times it's also because they don't want to put their friends and family in the position to also be stalked. So they'll just withdraw so they can deal with it on their own instead of subjecting others to the same behaviors. We also see people make major changes to their routines. It can include as much as even getting new jobs with different schedules so that their stalker doesn't know where and when to find them. It can be as small as changing the direction they drive to work and where they park and things like that. But a lot of times it's major, if it goes on long enough, it is major life changes that are taking place for the victim just trying to avoid being abused. They will oftentimes avoid being completely alone if they're outside their own home. So a lot of times if they don't have a buddy, if you will, to go somewhere with them, they'll just avoid leaving so that they don't have to be alone.
According to Coker, roughly 13 million individuals are victims of stalking, and roughly 1 in 3 women are victims of a stalker. She indicates you're most likely to be stalked between the ages of 18 and 24.
Yeah, data's funny. It's an estimated 13 million people are stalked or victims of stalking in the U.S. every year. About 1 in 3 women, 1 in 6 men. And of course, you're most likely to be a victim if you're between the ages of 18 to 24. There's a lot of reasons for that. Maturity, accessibility, kind of like the developing that line of responsibility for both the stalker and the individual being stalked, oversharing, starting lives together, things like that. The problem with stalking is that there is absolutely no way to know how often it's really happening, for one, and for two, it is incredibly unreported or underreported.
Coker is not only seeing an increase in cases of stalking lately, but she's also noticing victims downplaying their situations. She hopes to raise awareness that these behaviors are not normal nor acceptable.
So part of the reason I wanted to talk about stalking today is I have seen a pretty drastic increase in the number of people who are victims of stalking. In my case, it typically is abusers. That's why they've called me, even though I'll help anybody with the topic. But it's been really downplayed. I've noticed that victims are really minimizing their stalking because they're so used to it that they don't really see it as a big deal anymore, or they've just come to accept it as part of their relationship, and the relationship might be so bad in other areas that they don't think the stalking is really a piece. So while data is really important, it isn't the big picture, especially with stalking. And like I said, a lot of it's because of minimization. They don't think it's a big deal, don't want it to be a big deal. Another big thing I've seen is that people are not realizing they are the victim of stalking. It's like what I'm seeing is people are telling me like, oh yeah, he shows up everywhere I am and it's really annoying, but I think it's just an accident. Whenever a stalker shows up in the same place that you are 30 times in a week, it isn't by chance. But sometimes we have to tell ourselves whatever we have to get through the day. So minimization is huge.
Yeah.
And another reason is people are shameful. They're embarrassed. They don't want to get law enforcement or the court system involved in their life. And then also people truly believe there are bigger things that law enforcement and the court system need to be dealing with. I'm not going to bother them with the fact that someone's stalking me. It truly is so dangerous and needs to be reported.
Stalking and harassment can sometimes be hard to differentiate, but Coker says stalking has 4 telltale signs that cross over from harassment to stalking.
Essentially, stalking falls under 4 categories. Harassment can be these 2, but it'll be noticeable what the differences are if they go to the extreme. So a big one is people being under surveillance. So if someone is watching you, tracking you, or just generally gathering information about you. Again, if someone's just following you on social media a little bit, well, problemsome, probably harassment. If someone is sitting outside your home, showing up where you are, following you whenever you drive places, it's absolutely crossed the line into stalking. There's also life invasion, which is what we just spoke of, which means that they're showing up where you're at. If you are at the grocery store and you get to the other side of the grocery store and someone you think is harassing you has a cart full of groceries it's weird that you're in the same spot at the same time. That happens maybe once or twice, and it's like, it causes you pause. This shit is happening when you're at the grocery store, the gas station, school, extracurricular activities, when you've gone out with your friends for the weekend, you're at the movies. This is not coincidental or accidental. This is intentional stalking, intentionally causing you to wonder if they're going to be here too and cause you fear. There's also interference, which is attacking you with words or your property. This includes sabotaging you, calling your work, just trying to destroy your reputation, ultimately making the victim's life challenging and worse intentionally.
Coker hopes if you suspect you may be a victim of a stalker, contact Willow Tree Missions to receive help and talk through your situation. You can find out more at Willow Tree Missions by finding them on Facebook or visit willowtreemissions.org. March is Women's History Month, and Social Security says there are some things women specifically should consider when it comes to their benefits. One of the biggest financial fears people face in retirement is running out of money. Jack Myers at Social Security says due to longer life expectancies than men, women are often at greater risk of this.
We want to recognize Women's History Month, and while I'll point out first and foremost the rules for receiving Social Security benefits are the same for men and women, of course, there are just some things that women should consider. There are a lot of nuances in terms of Social Security benefits that are important to talk about. I think one of the biggest financial fears that people face in the retirement years is running out of money. Due to longer life expectancies than men, women are at a greater risk of this. Some statistics that I saw recently, average life expectancy statistics, showed that a man who's turning age 65 today can expect to live on average until about age 84, where a woman who's turning age 65 today could expect to live on average until about age 87. So we're talking about 3 more years there. And just based on that alone, that's a greater likelihood that you're going to outlive your money. And that's, as I mentioned, one of the biggest financial fears that people have in retirement. So
Good retirement planning is important for everyone, but arguably even more important for women. Myers indicates the longer average life expectancy for women increases their likelihood of exhausting other sources of retirement income, making the inflation-protected Social Security benefit even more important.
With that in mind, I guess I'd say it's probably even a little bit more important for women to do their retirement planning than it is for men. I think it's important to check out tools that we have on our website at ssa.gov. We've got a retirement planner that'll talk about retirement benefits. You can get information about spousal benefits or surviving spousal benefits. Learn about those sorts of things so that you can be better prepared. Maybe you decide, and this is totally up to you, this is not me advocating one way or another, but maybe you might decide after looking into some of that stuff that waiting a little longer to collect benefits is the right move, or maybe that's not the call you're going to make. But take a look at that. Look at your My Social Security account to see estimates of your future benefits.
We also have Social Security also has the publication called What Every Woman Should Know and Survivors Benefits. You can find them at ssa.gov/pubs.
There's also a couple publications that we have. One's called What Every Woman Should Know, and another is just plain Survivors Benefits. Those talk a lot about the different things to be aware of. What Every Woman Should Know obviously is geared more towards women in general. It's going to talk about some of the things that I've just mentioned today. But the Survivor Benefits is going to be for anybody who's, a widow or a widower, or perhaps a surviving minor child or disabled child. Those are good things to take a look at and have ideas of how these benefits will work for you in the future. You can find those in the publication section of our website. So if you go to ssa.gov/pubs, you'll see those there. Or you can give us a call at 800-772-1213 and request a copy. We'd be happy to mail a copy of either or both of those out to you.
Myers reminds it is never too early to start your retirement planning and stresses Social Security was never meant to be your sole source of income in your retirement years, so you must consider setting money aside and saving for retirement independent of Social Security. News time is 23 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Monday. We've got plenty more coming your way next on The Morning Show.
March into Baum Chevrolet Buick and march out with a new Chevrolet. This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick here in Clinton. We have a good selection of Silverado trucks to fit your everyday work needs. We have 1500s, 2500s, and 3500s in regular cabs, double cabs, and crew cabs. And if you're looking for good fuel economy, check out our 3-liter diesel and our 1500 Silverados boasting a combined 26 miles per gallon rating. BaumChevyBuick.com, right from the start.
News time is 24 minutes after 7 o'clock here on this Monday. Again, I'm Seth Lawrence with you folks today for this expanded local newscast. At a first-of-its-kind conference in Illinois, Governor J.B. Pritzker recently welcomed leaders in the world of sustainable aviation fuel to the Chicago suburbs. The governor says SAF has a bright future right here in Illinois.
I want to be clear with all of you. There is no state that is better positioned to thrive in this industry than the state of Illinois. And I want to say that about 10 times over, but won't bore you with it. Just to tell you that we have everything that people are looking for as you're building this industry. Illinois is home to a skilled biofuels workforce with 69,000 people employed in advanced biofuel manufacturing occupations. And that's only set to increase from here. From production and refining to retail, everything you need is here. We are the nation's number 1 producer of soybeans, number 2 producer of corn.
The conference featured Illinois manufacturers, the Illinois corn growers, and leaders from the nation's oil companies and aviation industry. The reigning Miss Illinois County Fair Queen is enjoying her time with the crown. Natalie Evans from Morgan County told the RFD Radio Network it's not just about promoting the state fair, but also remembering the roots of the local county fairs.
To me, that's obviously one of the biggest parts of this role. When you're representing a county fair, you're not just representing a fairground, you has concerts and rides, but you're representing a community. I know in Morgan County, and I'm sure in surrounding counties too, that is like one of the biggest unifications of Jacksonville and Morgan County as a whole. So being able to represent that unity and all of those people who volunteer for every single county fair at the state level is purely amazing. And I'm very humbled to be able to do that because I know how much goes into running a county fair and providing all the entertainment and, again, that unity and community.
I think you said you weren't even sure if you were going to do the Morgan County Fair. So maybe some youngsters out there on the fence say, maybe I'll give this county fair queen competition in whatever county a chance. So here's your chance, Natalie Evans, 30 seconds. Why should that youngster really pull the trigger and enter the pageant?
Pageants are more than just being able to walk in a beautiful ball gown and show yourself to the crowd and to the judges. Pageants open up a door of, win or lose, open up a door of professional ability. They get you started in interviews, something to put on a resume. So not only if you do win, obviously it's going to be amazing, but even if you don't, you gain confidence. And for me, it was the aspect of, if I don't do this, I'm going to regret it. And to anyone out there who's thinking about it, live life with no regrets. And if you're thinking about it, do it.
Evans is a student at Murray State. USDA says cattle placements into feedlots set a new record high last month. Gary Crawford has this report.
A record high number of cattle placed into feedlots in February. The USDA reporting placements last month at 1.9 million head, up 10% from February a year ago. USDA livestock analyst Mike McConnell says most folks were not expecting that large of an increase, but consider this.
In January, we actually had a relatively low placement number. That was due to the winter storms that we had across the Midwest that came in early January, which delayed some of those placements. So some of the increase that we saw in placements during February was the fact that we're making up for some of the weather incidents that occurred during January.
Also, according to Mike McConnell,
prices for feeder cattle are also very strong, but they're also at historic levels.
So lots of incentive to sell and take advantage of those high prices. They are about a third higher than this time a year ago. Gary Crawford reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture.
News time, 28 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Monday. Coverage of news is brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters, and the morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. As we come up on 7:30 on this Monday, we take a look at network news coming up. Following the network, a look at network sports and a look at local sports comes your way. A lot of high school baseball games over the weekend were postponed due to the anticipated cold weather, although a round-robin tournament in Monticello got played over the weekend. A recap of a couple of those games from the Wilkie Complex in Monticello from the weekend coming your way in local sports. Illinois off to the Sweet 16 for the first time in nearly 20 years, and we've got a look at Bradley in the NIT over the weekend as well. Those stories coming up in sports here on this Monday. Following a look at local sports, we take a look at that weather forecast, a wind advisory in effect here for the day. We'll get details on that coming up in our weather forecast this morning. We get a look at that livestock report from the RFD Radio Network, the markets, that ag weather forecast, and much more coming your way here next on the WHOW Morning Show. We stream live online all the time at DeWittDailyNews.com. Network news comes your way next here on the WHOW Morning Show. And again, stay with us for sports, weather, and much more. All that next.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason. Today's a day by which former President Trump must cough up nearly $500 million for a bond in his New York civil fraud case. If he doesn't pay up, New York's Attorney General could swoop in and start seizing Trump assets. The U.S. Supreme Court slated to hear arguments tomorrow in a case that seeks to limit access to a widely used abortion pill, mifepristone. Looking as if they have been beaten and otherwise tortured, 4 suspects in the Moscow terror attack have appeared in a Russian courtroom, one of them in a wheelchair. The bloody assault on the concert venue in Moscow is the deadliest such attack on Russian soil in 2 decades. And space weather forecasters have issued a geomagnetic storm watch through today. They say a plasma burst from a solar flare could disrupt radio communications here on Earth. Wall Street Dow features down 66 points. More details, srnnews.com.
With SRN Sports, I'm Ron DeRockstra, taking care of business in Memphis. David Schuster explains.
Clemson and Houston, the 2 winners in Memphis on Sunday. Clemson, a number 6 seed, defeated Baylor 72-64. The Tigers watching a 15-point lead evaporate down to 2, but pulled it out in the end. Clemson next will face number 2 seed Arizona in the West. As for number 1 Houston, they survived an incredible comeback from Texas A&M to win 195 in overtime. Next up for Houston is Duke in the South region.
Next up, the Yukon Huskies beat Northwestern 75-58. San Diego State in a romp over Yale 85-57. Alabama used a late surge to beat Grand Canyon 72-61. Purdue in a rout over Utah State 106-67. Duke 93-55, bashing of James Madison, and Marquette beat Colorado 81-77. Games start on Thursday. This is SRN Sports. NBA Finals, Pelicans beat the Pistons. It was the Clippers losing to the Sixers. Heat down the Cavaliers. The Bucks beat the Thunder. Warriors lose to the Timberwolves, and the Lakers slow down the Pacers. On the ice in the NHL, the Caps beat the Jets. Avalanche over the Penguins in overtime. Lightning in Anaheim. The Ducks in overtime. Lightning win that one. Devils shut out the Isles. Panthers beat the Flyers. Oilers fall to the Senators. Hurricanes beat the Leafs. Stars beat the Coyotes. Sabres take care of the Flames, and the Canadiens beat the Kraken. The United States shut out Mexico 2-0 for its 3rd straight CONCACAF Nations League title. And Shohei Ohtani plans to speak to the media today for the first time since the illegal gambling and theft allegation involving his interpreter emerged during the team's trip to South Korea. And with SRN Sports, I'm Ron DeRockstra.
Time now for a look at sports. I'm Seth Lawrence with this report. Monticello picked up a pair of good victories on Saturday with a 4-1 win over New Berlin and a 2-1 win over Route Catholic in round-robin baseball action from Monticello High School on Saturday. Hayden Romano allowed an unearned run in 5 innings of work in the opener. The sophomore allowed just a hit in the opener. Carter Foreign he walked 2, and struck out 4. Raiden Colbert drove in 2. Carter Foreign finished 2 for 3 with an RBI and a stolen base. Matt Swartz stole a base for Monticello as well, who mustered just 4 hits, but took advantage of 4 Pretzels turnovers. In the second game, Coy Williams struck out 8 in 6 innings of 1-run ball as the Sages topped one of 1A's top teams, Route Catholic, 2-1. Williams allowed 6 hits and a walk. The junior drove in a run, finishing 1 for 3 at the plate. Foreign again finished 1 for 3 with an RBI. Jacob Long was 1 for 2 with a double. Luke Teschke and Swartz stole bases for Monticello's offense in the second game. The Sages go to 10-0 on the season and will host Lincoln this afternoon. Hear the action on 95.9 FM WEZC and online at DeWittDailyNews.com. First pitch is set for 4:30. Terrence Shannon Jr. scored 30 points. Marcus Damask added 22, and Illinois made fast work of its 11th-seeded opponent from the Atlantic 10 in the third-seeded Illini's 89-63 victory over Duquesne. Saturday night, Illinois had not made it through the first weekend of the tournament in 8 previous appearances. Illinois and Iowa State will play in the NCAA tournament for the first time. Illinois has won 9 of the last 12 meetings, but lost the last 2 in 2018 and 2015. Jizzle James had 25 points in Cincinnati's 74-57 win over Bradley Saturday in the second round of the NIT. Dan Skillings Jr. had 20 points and 5 rebounds. Simus Lukosius had 17 for the Bearcats, who go to 20-14 overall. Malevi Leons led the way for the Braves with 16 points and 6 rebounds. Connor Hickman added 14 points. Cincinnati took the lead with 18:36 left in the first half and never gave it back. James led their team in scoring with 14 in the first half to help the Bearcats go up 36-28 at the break. Cincinnati plays the winner of Sunday's Indiana State's and Minnesota NIT matchup. William Byron started from the pole and delivered a dominant performance in the NASCAR's first road course race of the season. The Hendrick Motorsports driver led 42 of 68 laps and built the big lead he needed to hold off a hard-charging run from Joe Gibbs Racing's Christopher Bell over the final 2 laps. Bell shaved nearly 3 seconds off Byron's lead to create some late drama before Byron slammed the door over the final corners. Byron led 23 of the first laps of the first 2 stages, but found himself quickly dropped to 3rd at the start of the final stage as Ross Chastain, who won at COTA in 2022, jumped to the front. Byron fought back to pass him with 25 laps to go, and both cars pitted on the same lap. Chastain then got hung in traffic on the re-entry and fell several cars back. That gave Byron the chance to open the gap he needed to keep Bell behind him at the end. Ty Gibbs, the 21-year-old grandson of team owner Joe Gibbs, finished 3rd after getting passed by Bell with 3 laps to go. The series moves to short track racing next Sunday at Richmond Raceway in Virginia. Get sports anytime from your computer or mobile device at DeWittDailyNews.com.
This is staff meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki with your regional radio forecast. A wind advisory begins at 8 a.m. today and remains in effect until midnight tonight. Overcast skies today with a chance of rain showers.
High temperatures reach up to 62. South winds 20 to 25 miles per hour.
Thunderstorms likely.
Tonight, lows around 50, partly cloudy.
Hear weather twice an hour or online anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Right now, it's 53 degrees.
I'm weatherology meteorologist Derek Height with a significant weather update. A wind